Hello my friends, I greet you in love and light of the one infinite creator. And in today's session, I have channeled the Galactic Federation in order to query about something known as the non-player characters or the background people. And I need to say a big thank you to one of my Patreon supporters who actually asked this question, because I had not heard about this concept or this aspect anywhere before. Maybe I was not aware of this. So in today's session, it opened my eyes. And, I was like, after listening to the session, I wished, I knew about this information before, because, look, this stuff is like really deep, okay? Like, let me tell you this much, after listening to the session, you will be like, what the hell is going on, right? You'll be like, oh my God. You will also say the same thing, okay? You will also wish that you had known about this beforehand. So in today's session, what they tell us is, in essence, how we, okay, like, there are like, background people, okay, in our planet. And what is the prime directives, with regards to the background people. And also, they tell us, what actually happened to, we had actually planned to do this energy work on the 20th of October. However, because of the, intense weather condition, I was unable to perform that along with you guys. And they also tell us, what actually happened, okay? So this stuff is like really deep. I'm telling you, literally after listening to the session, I was like, I became very conscious of, what they were saying in the session. And, one of the things, this session will really will blow your mind, okay? Let me tell you that much. And they actually talk about, like the prime directives of how the, how the non-player characters or the background people, they operate on our planet, along with the main characters, and how we can find out, okay? They also tell us, how we can find out, like I believe they said two things which are common in non-player characters, how we can find out if we are a so-called non-player character or a main character. And towards the end of the session, they describe something really interesting, which is how we can, go from becoming a, background person to becoming a main character. So this session, literally like is amazing. And I also want to say a big thank you to all of you for liking the video, because it helps to reach out. And I believe, this video will help a lot of people. So if you can click the like button. So here's the video, after which I will explain to you what I understand.
We are the Galactic Federation, and we are now communicating through this instrument. As requested by this instrument, in the love and light of the one infinite creator, we greet you today for the purpose of answering the query placed on the mind complex of this instrument. However, as always before our communication proceeds, we would like to warn you to use your discernment and only accept insights which strike the inner resonance of your heart. For your inner heart is always connected to the truth within and knows more than your so-called thinking mind is capable of understanding and knowing the truth. We as the Galactic Federation would like to state that the recent meditation for the purpose of creating a blanket of light around the planet Earth had been obstructed by some negatively oriented entities who, upon using a particle acceleration device, had impacted the lands known as India and the portion in which this entity, who is acting as our instrument, resides. This caused a large amount of rainfall to occur, preventing the so-called mass meditation to occur in a timely manner. Hence, the impact of the so-called mass meditation was not as successful as expected because of the disparity in the number of entities who send love light energies. Therefore, we shall in the future timeline suggest you a time for the performance of the same in the coming timeline in your space-time. We are now going to share with you the answer to the query placed by this instrument, which pertains to the so-called aspect known as the non-player characters, as known in your language terms by your people, who are also known as the background people. In this regard, we as the Galactic Federation shall share with you the prime directives of the so-called background people. And now, the first prime directive of the background people is that they are the entities who fill the role of other entities on the same planetary illusion complex in which each player entity who is conscious finds itself in. Furthermore, such a so-called background personality has the purpose of acting out or being influenced by the so-called player entity's mind wave patterns in order to provide the player entity with the knowledge that its so-called mind complex has the creative ability to impact the planetary sphere. Furthermore, this in essence is created for the purpose of allowing each player entity the ability to sharpen its creative ability of manipulating the outside reality by using the internal recognition of the one creator and the internal energy manipulation that can be conducted using its mind complex of the imagination as well as the thought forms. The other prime directive is that the so-called non-player entities can also awaken to become player entities in their incarnation. This is facilitated by the ability of free will, which has allowed each entity the choice. Furthermore, there have been many entities and there are still many entities who can be considered as the background people who are being influenced by the player entities' energy work and the mind manipulations which have the ability of affecting these entities. For the purpose of awakening, these entities must firstly become conscious of their thought forms, specifically the so-called images and the words, as known in your language terms, because the images and the words are the links which trap a so-called background personality to the illusion complex. This works in essence because each brain complex is able to keep information or record information using the so-called images as well as the aspect known as words. For each entity who is able to recognize that each of its thought forms in its mind or brain complex initiates after or begins only after a certain image or a certain letter or word triggers a timeline of thought forms. In this regard, your brain can be considered as a timeline manipulator. In this regard, the non-player entities are unaware of this aspect and are mostly unconsciously being manipulated by the thought forms that are being implanted subconsciously via the player entities who are fully conscious and are purposefully trying or applying their energy work on the outside world. This is how many entities on your planetary sphere can go from becoming non-player entities to becoming the main character in the illusion complex by firstly becoming conscious of the images, the pictures, and the so-called words which start in the brain complex, because each image, if entities are able to keep track of the image's location in the brain complex, originates at a certain location, which triggers certain cells in the brains and certain compartments of the brain, which trigger a sort of memory associated with that image, picture, or with that word, hence leading the entity into a spiral or a chain of dialogues or internal picturing of a scene, even during the waking state, which in turn creates a type of emotional feedback and leads to the transference into a timeline in which such an entity enters into the future. Those entities who are aware of this aspect and are consciously living their incarnation cycle by making the choice and recognizing that the so-called mind or the brain complex is a tool for their use and not the other way around. The so-called non-player characters are mostly used by their brain complex, and their mind complex goes uncontrollable. Since they are unconscious, they are also troubled in a large amount by their unconscious thought forms, the images and the words which trigger them into different timelines even during their waking states. This causes the non-player entities to be hugely influenced by any word or a picture in the mind complex, leading to a whole host of diseases also or other psychological problems. However, we can sense that the entities on your planetary sphere, 95% of them are non-player characters at this timeline, which means that your planet is being currently run by the 5% of the player characters who are aware of the energy work and aware of this aspect. In essence, this is a big revelation for those entities who want to turn and become the main player character or the creator of their life, and turn from becoming a non-player character, being influenced by other entities, and changing into a main character in their incarnation cycle. Also remember that each conscious entity or a player character must be conscious of the images and the words which start in the brain complex, because each image and each word has the ability of transcending or allowing such an entity to enter into a timeline wherein such experiences are felt. Therefore, only such images and words should be entertained which the so-called main character wants to experience on the illusion complex, thereby giving it the full free will and control of the illusion complex. Furthermore, many entities on your planetary sphere are also unaware that the energy work or the so-called use of the imaginative sense, along with a type of emotion which may be considered as heightened emotion, leads to a type of manipulation of the mind complex of non-player characters subconsciously, as all are unity, as all entities are united on a level in the time-space realm. Therefore, this is how the so-called non-player characters, also known as the background characters, operate on the Earth planet currently. Furthermore, we as the Galactic Federation would like to state that in the coming days, in the month of November as well, we would suggest that there be a type of so-called meditation being implanted on the Earth planet to assist in the covering of the Earth in a love light barrier. Hence, this is all we can share at this time period. We, the Galactic Federation, disconnect now.
Hello my friends. So after watching the session, I hope you also had your like experience of your mouth opening wide or your eyes opening wide, like in shock, right? So the thing is, what they said in the beginning was that the meditation which we had planned was actually like stopped by some entities, okay, like some entities who used some device known as particle accelerator or something like that. and they had targeted it towards India, which caused massive amounts of rainfall. Okay, and not only rainfall, like floods and stuff, like it was like raining really heavily, which is very unusual at this period. So so if someone is in possession of such a device right now, just imagine what they can do. They can literally like send rain or send heavy rain to some area which they want. Like, wow, this stuff was like really deep in the beginning. And even more deeper, they talk about the non-player characters. Okay, now they said, okay, as far as I understood, they said that 95% of the Earth's population are background people. Wow, right? And also they said, how we can identify, okay, whether we are background people or non-background people. They said, in our planet, the non-background people, their main prime directive or their main purpose of being on this planet is to be, subconsciously controlled by a main player character who is using energy work. Okay, so I think many of us we already know about energy work, and we consciously try to manipulate reality, right? We try to create something we want, or we want to change timelines. So those people who are doing this, they are, I believe, main characters. Okay, but also one of the things that fascinated me was they talked about something known as the image and a word, right? Like this was like really deep, so just imagine, okay, like I had to check my own brain to verify if this was correct or not, and I was like blown away. Whatever they are saying, this is like 100% true. Okay, now you can try it for yourself. Like whenever you are thinking something inside your brain, first of all there needs to be a certain image, whether it be a person, a situation, or anything. Okay, it starts with an image. And I was like, wow, right? And it starts in a certain location. If you are able to consciously just be conscious of your thoughts and just observe where they begin, and you'll be like, wow, right? This stuff is deep. And I have noticed this with my own self. Okay, like after watching the video, I was like, I was very conscious of my thoughts, and I was like, so okay, whenever a thought came in, I was like, okay, so this is an image, I'm not going to follow an image. Okay, it made me like very conscious, and I was like very conscious of my thoughts. Okay, like suppose a word popped up in my brain, I was like, okay, so this is a word, I'm not going to follow the word. And the background people or the non-player characters are those entities who are unconscious of this process. So wow, right? Now this stuff is really deep, and I hope it opened your eyes. So there are a lot of people who are the background people, right? And they said that if this information, right, if whatever they said in the session about the image and the word, which starts a train of thought, and this is true. Okay, like whenever we are thinking inside, or whenever we are doing something, okay, it all starts, I have noticed this myself, in the short amount of time after watching the session. I have noticed that it all starts with a small word, right? Just a word, a person's name. Okay, and then you have all this memory with that person, and you go into this like huge timeline in your imagination and stuff. It takes you into different timeline. Okay, in essence, that's what they're saying. So those people who don't know about this, they are being like subconsciously controlled. Oh my God, right? By those people who know how to like do energy work or manipulate reality. Wow, this stuff just blew me away. And let me tell you this much, those of you who are watching the video, many of you will recognize the fact that every time you think of something, it begins with a image or a word. So we just need to be conscious. Okay, just be conscious of what you're thinking, and only give attention to what you want to think, because they said that subconsciously they are planting thoughts in the minds of non-player entities. So this stuff is like really deep, and this session literally, like, I believe has changed my life in one day, right? Yeah, this is what happens, you know, when you channel, because you get information like, you're like, holy shit, right? Like this information, I'm so sorry, I just like said some bad word, I believe. Wow, this session, you know, literally like, you know, I believe changed my life in just one session, and I hope it helped you open your eyes as well. So to become a main player, okay, what we have to do is we have to become conscious of the images and the words which start in our mind, and we need to only entertain those images and words which we want to experience in our future timeline. So this, my friends, will make us into a main player. This is like, you know, this stuff, you know, I wished, this is the reason why I told you in the beginning, you know, I wished, you know, I had known about this beforehand. Like this was like really deep, you know, like it would have saved me a lot of time, you know, like from going into different, like, you know, thought forms and, you know, entertaining, like, you know, different timelines. Like anyways, you know, better you know, start now applying this, right? So I'm going to apply this. And also I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have, you know, like supported me on Patreon, and also big thank you to all of you who have sent emails for requesting your past life. And whenever I get free time, I will send you out the emails. So I'll add you to the list, and I'm doing that whenever I'm getting free time. So I thank you all for that as well, and thank you so much. So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.